Hi, so thanks for joining us for our winter cooking tutorial. Today we're going to make homemade hot chocolate topped with whipped cream, a turkey club sandwich, carrot and ginger and orange soup, and then we're going to make a Yule Log. There is no activity code for today because this is not part of a bean stack program, but be sure to register for our 2020-2021 winter reading challenge. We're trying to get as many people as possible to read this winter, so be sure to register for that. But in the meantime, let's get started. Let's make some hot chocolate. Hi, so first we're going to make some hot chocolate to go with our delicious meal we're making today. So this makes about 5 8-ounce servings, this recipe. So first you're going to need half a cup of sugar, a 1/4 cup of cocoa. I'm using special dark chocolate, 1/3 cup of water, 1 quart of milk, and 3/4 teaspoon of vanilla extract. So first you're going to stir the sugar. Oh, the sugar also has a dash of salt in with it, and cocoa. And you're just going to put it in here, and then you're going to give it a quick stir, and then you're going to go ahead and add the water. So now we're just whisking the water, cocoa, sugar, and salt until it combines. And now we're going to move this over to the stove and cook it until it boils, stirring constantly. I'll see you over there. Okay, so we've been letting this boil for about 1.5 minutes now. We're just going to let it boil for half a minute more, so a total of 2 minutes to boil, and then we're going to add the milk in. So that looks about right. So now we're going to turn this down just a little bit because we don't want the milk to boil. And we're going to turn this to the side and add in 1 quart of milk very carefully, stirring as we go. And trying not to make too big a mess. But if you've watched these videos before, you know that I can't cook without making a mess, but that's okay. So some of it landed on the floor, but that's to be expected because I'm making it, as I said. That's alright, milk is easy to clean out. And that little bit that I dumped on the floor is not going to matter too much to the recipe. So now we're just going to stir this some more. And we're going to heat this until it reaches room temperature, or not room temperature, until it reaches the temperature you'd like to drink it at. And then we'll remove it from the heat and add in our vanilla and other ingredients and toppings. So we'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, so our hot chocolate has warmed up to the right temperature, and now we're going to add in our vanilla. At this point, you can add in any sort of flavoring you want, or any add-ins that you would like to add. So you could put marshmallows, an adult beverage, or in my case, whipped cream. So we're just going to stir in the vanilla real quick, and then we're going to carefully get some hot chocolate, put it in my cup. Okay, and then I'm gonna just dollop some whipped cream on here. So the recipe for this whipped cream can actually be found later in this video. We're gonna use the same recipe to make a Yule Log filling. And there you go, some delicious homemade hot chocolate. Hi, so So next we're going to make a turkey club sandwich. For this, you will need sliced turkey, lettuce, tomatoes, and your cheese of choice. I'm using Munster because I like it. And then you also need some bacon and some toasted bread. And also, of course, some mayonnaise. So first you're going to go ahead and put your mayonnaise on your sandwich. And you can go ahead and put that on as many or as few layers as you like. I quite like mayonnaise, so I'm probably going to put it on both the bottom slice and the top slice. Okay. And then next you can go ahead and start layering up your sandwich. Just one tomato, I think. And there you go. That's a turkey club sandwich. Okay, so thank you for joining us for the second part of our cooking tutorial. Next, we're going to make carrot soup with orange and ginger. So for this, you'll need 2 leeks, 6 carrots, or about 1 pound, 1 red potato, or about half a pound of potatoes, 1.5 teaspoons of peeled and minced fresh ginger, and then back here we have 5 cups of chicken stock, just keeping warm, and then we have 1/2 cup of orange juice, and then we have some salt and pepper just to add some flavor. So next we're going to saute these vegetables, so if you want to come over to the stove, we'll get that started. Okay, so first we're going to saute the leeks, so you're just going to put them all into the pot that you're later going to serve your soup in, with some oil down in the bottom. You're just going to want to put those in carefully so you don't burn yourself. Okay, and now you're just going to cook these until they're completely softened. That'll take about 3 minutes. And then you'll add in the carrots and the potatoes. Okay, so our leeks are nice and softened. So now we're going to add in the carrots. And the potatoes. And then the ginger. And then we're going to cook all of this until all of the vegetables are softened. So I'll see you in a couple minutes. Okay, so our soup has been simmering for the past 20 minutes. The vegetables are now nice and soft. So now we're going to get ready to puree it all. So you can do this 2 ways. I'm going to use an immersion blender, but if you don't have an immersion blender, you can carefully scoop little bits of it at a time out and into a food processor or into a blender. But as I said, I have an immersion blender, so that's what I'm going to use. And like I said, you want to be careful because it is hot. Okay, so that looks good. I actually ended up adding just a little bit more stock because it was a little bit too thick. So now we're just going to carefully take this out and put it in here for now so we don't get everything all dirty. And now you're going to add in the 1/2 cup of orange juice. And then you're just going to stir it in. So now you can go ahead and serve it. Alright, so that is our carrot and orange ginger soup. Hi, thanks for joining us for the last part of our cooking tutorial. Next we're going to make a Yule Log. So we're doing this a little bit more simply than we normally do. We're just going to use a box mix instead of making it from scratch. You can also, of course, make it from scratch. Yeah, so let's get started. So for this, you'll need 1 chocolate cake box mix, 1 cup of water, 4 eggs, and 1/3 cup of vegetable oil. And then you're just going to add all of those ingredients in to the cake mix. And then you'll whisk either with an electric hand mixer, a stand mixer, or you can also whisk it by hand. I'm going to whisk it by hand just because it's a little bit easier for me. Okay, so now we've finished mixing our cake mix, and now we're just going to pour it into a jelly roll. So I've lined this jelly roll with parchment paper, and underneath the parchment paper I sprayed it just real quick with some cooking spray, just to keep it from sliding around. Okay, so now you just want to make sure it reaches all the corners. And to do this, you just are going to pick up your pan and very carefully move it around until it reaches all 4 corners. This will make a very thin cake, and that's just so that we can easily roll it. Okay, and then you just want to shake it a bit to make sure it's even. And then you're going to put this into the oven at 350 degrees for 15 to 18 minutes. So I'll see you in about 15 minutes. Okay, so our cake's all finished. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cover a cloth with a lot of powdered sugar, and then we're going to turn the cake out onto this and roll it immediately. That way it sort of gets used to the shape that we're going to have it in. Forgot my hot pads. And this cake is too hot to do by hand. So you're just gonna plop it down there. And then you're gonna carefully peel off the parchment paper. And then starting at one of the short ends, you're going to roll up the cake. Actually, first we're going to put some more powdered sugar on the top. This is just to keep it from sticking to itself, the same way you would use flour for anything made of bread. And then you're going to let this completely cool. It'll take about an hour, half hour to 45 minutes. And you're just going to let this completely cool in the shape it's in. And while we're doing that, we're going to make the filling. So now we're going to get started on the whipped cream. For this, you'll need 2 cups of heavy whipping cream, 2 to 4 tablespoons of powdered sugar, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. So first, you're just going to add your heavy whipping cream into your mixer. You can also, of course, use whipped cream that you buy in the store. I'm just choosing to make it today. Okay. And then you're just going to start this on low. And then you're going to go ahead and add the other ingredients. Also add a bit more sugar if it's not sweet enough for you. And then you're just going to whisk this until it's stiff. Okay, so our whipped cream is done whipping. When it's finished, it's going to look it's going to look like this. You're going to want to be careful not to over whip it, because if you over whip it, you run into the risk of turning it into butter. And sweet butter is not good. So we're going to set this aside while our cake finishes cooling, and then once our cake is finished cooling, we'll wrap it all up and decorate it to make it look like a Yule log. See you in a little bit. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Like I said, this crack here, it's a little bit disappointing, but we can hide that with some decorations, and the whipped cream will still hold it together. So now what you're going to do is you're going to make a slight cut, not all the way through the cake, that it will just help it fold a little bit better, because our Yule log is going to have a nice little swirl running through it. Okay, so now we're going to add the whipped cream. Just going to dollop a bit on there and then spread it out. You don't want to put too much in, because then it'll just all squish out when you go to roll it again. Now we spread our whipped cream out, so now we're going to carefully fold our cake with hands for the first one, and then we're going to use the cloth to roll it up. Okay, so now it should look like a giant ho-ho. And like I said, these cracks we're just going to hide with some decoration. So now you're going to let this sit to the side, and you'll get your frosting ready. Okay, so we've transferred our cake onto its final resting place, and in this I have put some store-bought icing. So a nice way to trick people into thinking you made the icing completely by scratch is to take it, put it into your mixer, put the whisk attachment on, and then whisk it for a little bit until it's nice and fluffy. You can also add a little bit of milk, a little bit more sugar if you want to, or some butter or shortening. So I'm just going to whisk this up just a little bit more. Okay, so that's nice and fluffy now, as you can see. So next we're going to just put a very thin layer of frosting on here, just to get our cracks to hold together so that the cake doesn't fall apart, and then we'll do some more fancy decorating. Okay, so as you can see, I covered the Yule log all around. So there's two different ways you can finish the end. One, you can cut this end neatly and then decorate it thusly. Or you can just cover the ends and then it'll just look like a log. So to add some extra logginess to it, you can see I made some knots. So to do that, you use just a plain star tip and a bag, and you start in the center And then you just work your way out. And it's okay if it's a bit irregular, because it is a log. Okay, so then if you want to make it look like it's covered in snow to decorate simply, you just dust it with even more icing sugar. And that's it. So you can also get real fancy. You can put like a fake or edible ribbon across, or you can either decorate with little meringue shapes, or you can decorate with little winter shaped cookies or chocolates or anything like that. This one I just decided to finish simply. So this is a Yule Log cake decorated simply. So thanks for joining us. We're all finished now with our winter meal. So we have our homemade hot chocolate with whipped cream, our turkey club sandwich, our carrot, orange, and ginger soup, and of course, our Yule Log. There's no activity code for this cooking tutorial, but we are running a reading challenge on Beanstack, so be sure to register for that. It's called the 2020 through 2021 Winter Reading Challenge. We're trying to get everyone to read as many books as possible, so be sure to register for that. And again, thank you for joining us. Bye!